Let's be brutally honest for a moment. If a woman feels absolutely nothing when you speak, you're not just forgettable. You've already been forgotten. And let's get one thing straight. If all she feels is comfort around you, you're already in the friend zone, which is a graveyard for attraction. Comfort is what women get from their brothers, their friends, their pets. Disruption, a subtle, intriguing shakeup of her world, is what they secretly crave from a man. If you can't learn how to walk into a room and, with your presence alone, make her question who truly holds the power in that interaction, you will spend your entire life orbiting women you secretly wish you could be with, but fundamentally, you fear. Here's the powerful truth that Machiavelli understood centuries ago, a truth that most men today still haven't grasped. Power is nothing more and nothing less than perception. The man who controls how he is perceived controls the entire dynamic. He controls everything. This isn't about being the best-looking guy in the room. It's not about having the smoothest lines or the most charming smile. It's about projecting three specific, potent qualities: certainty, danger, and distance. Machiavelli famously wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking." Now, why would he say that? It sounds harsh, but think about it. Love is soft, it's volatile, it can be given and taken away on a whim. Fear, in this context, isn't about making someone terrified of you. It's about inspiring a deep, unshakable respect. It's the fear of losing you, the fear of your disapproval. Love is given freely, but that kind of profound respect, that is earned. And once it's earned, it is never, ever easily forgotten. True, unshakable confidence isn't about plastering a fake smile on your face. It's the complete opposite. It's about making her second-guess herself, not the other way around. It's about holding eye contact just a single, deliberate second longer than is comfortable. It's the absence of fidgeting. It's not blinking, not nervously adjusting your clothes like a little boy desperate for his mother's approval. It's about letting your silence do the talking for you. It's letting your stillness dominate the space around you. It's allowing your gaze to become an interrogation, one that she feels compelled to answer. A dangerously confident man doesn't show up to an interaction hoping to get the girl. He shows up to see if she is qualified to be in his world. See the difference? He doesn't chase. He assesses. He doesn't try to charm. He unnerves. Why? Because women, and people in general, don't obsess over what they can easily understand and categorize. They obsess over the things they cannot predict, the things that challenge them, the things that feel just out of reach. Let me repeat a core lesson that Machiavelli tried to drill into the minds of princes and kings. The vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. What does this mean for you, right here, right now? It means that your internal worth, how good of a guy you are, how loyal you are, how pure your intentions are, is completely irrelevant if your external presence, your aura, doesn't project dominance and self-respect. You can be the most stand-up guy in the world, but if you look like you need her approval to feel good about yourself, you are, in her eyes, beneath her. That's not an opinion. It's a law of nature. And the laws of nature do not care about your feelings. This kind of confidence isn't a mood you can slip into. It's a design. It's a system you engineer with the same precision as a weapon. You train your tone of voice so that your words land with the weight of a decree, not a suggestion. You hold your posture like a predator at rest, calm, observant, but with an undercurrent of coiled power. You speak like a man who is used to being listened to, because he has the self-respect to never beg for an ear or repeat himself twice. Dangerous confidence is not simply about being unafraid of her. It's about being fundamentally unshakable in the face of what most men worship as their ultimate prize: female validation. You must learn to walk into any room with the quiet, unmovable defiance of a king returning from exile. There's no need to prove anything. There's no need to flaunt or show off. There is just a presence so carefully calibrated, so grounded in its own value, that it makes other people, men and women, unconsciously adjust themselves to it. You don't impress her with over-the-top compliments and goofy smiles. You intrigue her with pressure. Your calm, deliberate silence becomes a source of tension that she wants to resolve. Your indifference to her validation becomes a signal of your own dominance. Your entire aura becomes a form of judgment, a standard that she instinctively wants to be found worthy of. This isn't arrogance. Arrogance is loud, it's insecure, it's a performance. This is cold, hard calculation. Machiavelli said, "He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." Let's translate that for the modern man. The man who performs for women, the man who puts on the nice guy mask, who laughs too hard at her jokes, who agrees with everything she says. He becomes her fool. He's trying to deceive her into liking him, and she allows it because it serves her. But the man who commands himself first, the man whose actions are aligned with his own internal compass, he makes her question her own power. And that is the starting line. This is where we begin. You stop acting like a man who needs to be chosen, and you start moving, thinking, and speaking like a man who has already chosen himself. You weren't born weak. You were trained to be agreeable. You were conditioned to smile, to accommodate, to ask for permission with your eyes and your posture. And Machiavelli would have laughed at this modern conditioning, because he knew 500 years ago that obedience without power is simply a slow form of suicide. "A prince who is not himself wise cannot be well advised," he wrote. Why? Because he lacks the judgment to discern good advice from bad. So if you're taking all your cues from women, if you're waiting for a green light of approval before you act, you are, by definition, not a leader. You are beneath her. You have to understand this critical truth. A woman cannot and will not be led by a man she can emotionally destabilize. It's a fundamental law of attraction. If her tears can make you backtrack on a decision, if her sarcastic comments can make you defensive, if her giving you the silent treatment sends you into a panic, or if a simple dose of her attention can make you weak at the knees, then you are not a man to her. You are a servant wearing cologne. A dangerously confident man isn't some kind of unfeeling robot. He's not immune to emotion. The difference is that he has built a fortress around his mind. He feels everything, but he is controlled by nothing. Every one of his reactions is filtered through a lens of purpose and self-control. Every word he speaks is deliberate. He has severed the cord of dependency on external validation because he understands a profound secret of human dynamics. The person who remains emotionally neutral is the one who controls the entire frame of the interaction. So, let's play this out. When she flirts with him, he doesn't melt or get flustered. He accepts it with a calm, knowing smirk. He sees it for what it is, a bid for a reaction, and he doesn't give her the satisfaction of a big one. When she tests him, and believe me, she will test you, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't get angry or defensive. He sees the test, understands its purpose, and lets it glance off his armor without leaving a scratch. And most importantly, when she pulls her attention away, he doesn't chase. He doesn't send a barrage of texts asking, "Is everything okay?" He pulls back even further, not as a petty punishment, but as a powerful statement that his world, his mission, and his happiness do not require her constant presence to function. Her presence is a welcome addition, but it is never a requirement. Machiavelli warned leaders against any form of dependency because dependency is the mother of weakness. The wise man does at once, he said, what the fool does finally. The fool waits until after the heartbreak, after the disrespect, after she's already left him for a stronger man, to finally decide to work on himself. The wise man cuts out his weakness now, before the crisis. How do you do this? You start by building a life that is so compelling, so engaging, so full of purpose, that women become a wonderful choice, not a desperate necessity. Your mission in life must become so sharp that it bleeds distractions. Your time must become so sacred that no woman, no matter how beautiful or charming, feels entitled to a second of it that you do not willingly grant. You start rising early. You move with precision and intent. You speak with clarity. And when you walk into a room, your energy, that grounded sense of purpose, does all the talking for you long before you ever open your mouth. Because here's a cruel truth of the world that nobody likes to admit. You can be tall, rich, and handsome, but if your energy, your very vibration, screams insecurity and neediness, a high-value woman will step right over you like a puddle on the sidewalk without a second thought. This is why dangerous confidence is never loud. It's not the guy in the club shouting and buying bottles. It is composed. It is still. It doesn't rush its words. It doesn't nervously fill silences because it is perfectly comfortable within them. And it absolutely never, ever explains itself to gain approval. It speaks, and then it waits. It states its reality and lets others adjust. The very moment you stop feeling the need to over-explain your decisions, your opinions, or your boundaries, is the moment people start developing a healthy fear and respect for what you're truly capable of. It is not titles that honor men, Machiavelli wrote, but men that honor titles. Forget the status symbols for a second. Forget the job, the car, the watch. You are the authority. You are the value. You are the title. And when a woman feels that, and I mean truly feels it in her bones, not just hears it in your words, her entire strategy for interacting with you has to change. Her old playbook becomes useless. She realizes she can't manipulate you with standard tactics. This is when her testing takes on a new meaning. She doesn't test you to dominate you anymore. She tests you to feel your walls. She's poking and prodding, looking for the limits of your frame, searching for your boundaries. And if you have none, if you're a formless, agreeable people pleaser, she gets bored and leaves. That's the great paradox. She doesn't actually want the control she appears to be seeking. She wants to feel the solid, reassuring strength of your control over yourself. She wants to crash against the limits of her own power and find that you are an immovable object. And only a man with an unshakable inner core, a man anchored to his own purpose, can provide that deeply attractive experience for her. So I want you to burn this into your identity. Every single time you withhold that urge to prove yourself, to brag, or to over-explain, you gain another layer of compelling mystery. Every time you refuse to overreact when she pokes you, you increase your psychological gravity, pulling her into your frame instead of being pushed into hers. And every single time you look at her, not as some goddess you have to worship and win over, but as a woman who needs to be measured and vetted to see if she's worthy of your world, you fundamentally shift the dynamic. You cease to be the prey, and you become the predator. Not in a violent sense, but in the sense of who is setting the terms of the engagement. Most men lose the game the second they open their mouths. They talk too fast, they say too much, they try way too hard to sound smart or funny or respectful. But Machiavelli was crystal clear. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Now think about your own life. When a woman looks at you, what does she see in your orbit? Does she see chaos, neediness, and other boys scrambling for pleasure? Or does she feel a sense of order, purpose, and deliberate strategy? A truly confident man isn't judged by his words alone. He's judged by the standards he keeps, by what he attracts, and more importantly, by what and who he does not allow into his life. If you want to be taken seriously, you have to start speaking less and observing more. Your eyes must become your primary weapon. Your silence must become your impenetrable wall. Machiavelli wrote, "Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration." You must become one of the few. Don't just watch her, read her. And you're not reading her for signs of attraction, you're reading her for motive. What does her behavior actually betray? When she gives you a compliment, is it genuine? Or is she testing to see if you'll get flustered? When she tells you a story, what is she trying to communicate about her values? What deep-seated insecurities is she hiding beneath her flirtatious exterior? Confidence without this level of insight is just a fragile, arrogant act. The truly dangerous man is confident because he sees. He sees through the words, through the makeup, through the carefully crafted social media poses. He sees the fear that often hides behind pride. And here's the key. He doesn't use this information to expose her or to hurt her. He stores it. He uses it to understand the map of her mind. This is psychological warfare, not with the goal of hurting her, but with the goal of leading the interaction effectively. A woman will only truly follow a man she knows she cannot completely manipulate. And if she can predict your emotions, your habits, and your triggers with 100% accuracy, she owns you. So you must train this into your very being. No visible emotional turbulence, no knee-jerk reactions to her tests, and absolutely no rushing to prove your worth. This brings us to one of Machiavelli's most brilliant analogies. The lion, he said, cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You must become both. You must be a fox in your observation, astute, clever, able to recognize the social traps laid for you, like tests of validation or bids for an emotional reaction. And you must be a lion in your execution, decisive, powerful, and utterly unapologetic in your actions and your boundaries. Calm eyes, a sharp mind, and brutal decisiveness. That is the combination that women unconsciously fear losing and secretly obsess over trying to tame. But here's the secret. He cannot be tamed because he already decided who he was long before she ever arrived. The truth you were never taught is this. A woman doesn't crave a man who worships the ground she walks on. She craves a man she cannot control. Most men operate with a flawed sense of loyalty. They are loyal to her attention, loyal to her approval, loyal to her moods. As Machiavelli might say, loyalty without a sound strategy is just slavery, A dangerously confident man is loyal to one thing and one thing only: his direction, his mission. So when she pulls back, he doesn't crumble and chase. When she tests him, he doesn't get defensive and explain himself. When she tries to derail his focus with drama or games, he doesn't even flinch. It's not because he's a cruel or heartless person. It's because he has built a world with standards, and no one, no matter how beautiful, is allowed to bend them. This must become your new commandment. You do not negotiate with your mission. Not for validation, not for affection, and not for sex. You must become so completely rooted in your own path that anything or anyone that distracts from it starts to feel disgusting to you. Not because you hate women, but because you finally love yourself enough to protect your purpose at all costs. Real confidence is born on the exact day you stop outsourcing your self-worth. Until you grasp that, you will continue to walk into rooms subconsciously scanning for eyes to tell you that you matter. But not anymore. From this moment forward, your confidence is not given to you. It is forged in the fire of your own refusal. The refusal to be reactive. The refusal to chase. The refusal to over-explain. The refusal to shrink yourself so that someone else can feel tall. Everyone sees what you appear to be, Machiavelli wrote. Few experience what you really are. So let them see what you have designed. You craft your public image with cold, hard precision. Not for the purpose of deception, but for the purpose of dominance. Your eyes must say, "I already know who I am." Your tone must say, "I do not ask for permission." Your very presence must say, "I am the decision." Because the ultimate secret is that women don't fall in love with your words. They fall in love with your direction. A man with no clear emotional direction is like a chaotic storm at sea, threatening to drown both of you. But a man with precise command of himself? That is rare. That is intoxicating. That is unforgettable. So if you truly want to be dangerously confident, you must let go of the burning need to be liked. Let go of waiting for her to give you signs. Let go of performing niceness. Let her feel the friction of your standards. Let her feel the difference in your presence. Let her feel the space that you do not collapse to fill. Because true confidence isn't about doing more. It's about needing less. When your silence becomes more powerful than another man's flood of compliments, she will finally understand the truth. You're not just available. You're not predictable. You're not even easily impressed. You're just watching, measuring, and calculating. And that might just terrify her, because she's used to being the one holding all the power. Not anymore. So what happens now? You build. You build the identity of a man who can no longer be manipulated. You speak with finality. You walk with a mission. You surround yourself with a potent silence. And when they try to figure you out, you let them fail. Because you are no longer designed to be understood. You are designed to be remembered. This is your new standard. You will not be the man who begs to be liked. You will be the man who haunts the memory. Not because of what you gave, but because of what you so clearly and so powerfully never needed. To every man listening right now, if you felt something inside you stir as you heard this, know that it wasn't just motivation. It was a memory. A memory of the man you were always meant to be. The one who doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, and doesn't wait for permission. You are not here to follow. You are here to become the kind of man that women cannot forget, cannot predict, and can never, ever control. If this has changed something in you, prove it. Like this video, share it with a man who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel. Because the transformation starts now.